Okay folks, gotta go pay the bill at the parts store. Hey folks, this is Mike from KEI Fabrication. This is my LS Swapped Mazda B2200.
As long as it's tied down well enough, I guess it'll be alright.
Alright, now we got a design chair. I can do some highly classified scientific calculations. Alright, so we are leaving now to go on almost a 2-hour drive to do the Craigslist mission. I've contacted one person definitely that's going to be there, and I got an address. Second person left a phone number, but their voicemail isn't set up. I got a confirmation on an email yesterday, but trying to confirm today. I've got no contact, so we'll see if that comes to a reality. I'm always leery of the Craigslist thing. You just never know. So we'll see. Alright. I'm going to jump on the highway here in a couple minutes. And then we are going to be on that for a while. And if I can film when I get there and pick it up, I will. If not, I'll keep you updated afterwards. Alright folks, we're just about halfway there. Things are looking good. Gauges are behaving. And the reason why I'm checking all the gauges is this is the first run since I've had it on the lift for about a month. And I've changed a ton of things. Everything from removing the screen from the mass airflow sensor to the fresh air box, we're fixing a training line, new front bumper, lightened the nose by 18 pounds, the short steering arms. I changed the battery, I weld repaired the frame in the back. Just all kinds of little things here and there. So happy to say things are looking up, and hopefully we'll have a good trip the rest of the way. Alright folks, hopefully the traffic noise isn't too bad. I stopped on the side of the road just as a rest stop, catch you guys up. So the first stop was for these 15 by 10 M&H Race Masters. They're brand new on 15 by 8 welds, and they are the correct offset that'll fit on the truck no problem. And I ran up another 30 miles or so, and I grabbed these racing seats. They got the pass-through for the belts, and they've got really good bolsters to hold me in position, and they've got metal brackets that I can bolt just about anything I want to if I can't use the slides that came with it. So mission accomplished. Can't wait to put the slicks on. They came with lug nuts and everything. So when I get home, I'll put them up on the side of the truck and get them going. So, all right, I got 100 miles left to get home. So I'm gonna work on doing that. All right, folks, you know I couldn't wait to put them on and test fit them, and I'm actually more pleased with them after they're on the truck than just the measurements I took prior to, and I'll show you why in just a moment. One of the cool things is they are exactly flush with the outside of the fender well. I'm trying to give you that perspective as best that I can. And the other thing is, as far as the clearance between the frame rail and the spring, there is over an inch clearance between the spring and the rim and the bulge of the tire, and that is the closest point. The frame rail and the inner fender well is actually the inner fender well is the closest situation, but I could actually lower the ride height of the truck and get away with these tires and rims. So if anybody put a narrowed 8.8 rear in their Mazda pickup truck, this is the Ford Explorer, narrowed on one side. If you find 15x8 rims with 5-inch back spacing, so it'd be 5 on one side, 3 on the other, and 26x10s, it's like the perfect combination. So I'm extremely excited about that. The threaded portion of my studs come all the way to the outside, so there's no spacers involved, and you get almost the full engagement of the shoulder of the lug nut on the stud itself. So as far as, you know, NHRA may complain about that because they don't stick out beyond the wheel lug, but from practical standpoint, the entire shoulder of the lug nut for these wheels is engaged with threads. So alright, so you guys saw the wheel studs. That's a project that I need to do because I have the slicks up there. So in order to run them legally, I need the studs to come all the way through the lug nuts. So those are mandatory. I bought enough. They're either going to go in my front hubs as well if I get some drag skinnies, or a spare set of axles. So if I break an axle, I have another one ready to go. This episode is brought to you by Harmony Acres, our favorite riding stable specializing in horse training and rider training. If you're interested in either of those, contact Harmony Acres. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is set the shop press up to push all of the studs out, both axles, and then I'll do the changeover to put them back in. Hopefully that's a quicker and easier process. So here we go, pushing the old studs out. The one thing I can't stress enough is that the back of the axle flange has to be supported extremely well, because if it's not, or you're pushing on some other surface, it'll actually bend the axle flange and you'll get a wobble in your wheel and you'll chase it around trying to balance tires and everything else. So make sure both pushing studs out and pulling studs in, that the axle flange is supported perfectly as much as you can. That's why I'm using the press plates to support the back side of this. So it's resting on the main body of the axle flange. It's not resting on the other studs. Same thing over here. It's resting on the main part of the axle flange. so I've got the axle flange set up. I've got a shim under the left side here. So when I put the right side in, I made up a new longer press tool to push this in so it won't bottom out. And it fits very snugly with the knurl that's going to extend through here, so it'll center pretty well. Again, I'm pushing on the axle stud now. I'm pushing from the very bottom of that axle stud, and then I'll be pushing down utilizing this press tool to push the flange down. As soon as I get some pressure on this, I'm going to wiggle the shim out of the way and allow it to push it in nice and straight. So the straighter you start off, the better it's going to be, and then when the stud bottoms out in the... So I'm just centering it under the press now to make sure that I get as straight of press as possible. The last thing you want to do is bind this thing up and push your studs in crooked. So here we go. See, it's crooked. I've got my press plate too close to the axle where it tapers out, so I'm showing you how not to do it. So you can see now that I'm pushing straight, the axle is straightened out on itself. And we'll watch the pressure here and we'll match the pressure and see how it seats on the flange itself. So I'm pushing it into about 5,000 pounds of force. It might be overkill, but let's see how it works out on the stud itself. I think you should be able to see that, but it's perfectly seated all the way around. So my process is showing that it's effective. So my process is effective. Well, I just got to repeat it 9 more times. Match the pressure. So much for the China press plates. Did you guys catch that? Don't use China press plates. Look at that. I would suspect that the biggest problem with that is that. Alright, we gotta come up with a different plan now. Stud is pushed in all the way. Alright, give me a minute. I gotta reconnoiter here. Alright, let's try this again. Got mild steel this time instead of cast iron. I actually think this is a better setup because this is wide enough to push directly on the head of the stud. And I can position it so it's perfectly centered in the ram. And I just had to stack up a bunch of material here to get my shim going. Here's one axle. So I'll clean that bad boy off and put her in the thing. You can see appear to be pushed in correctly. There's no air gap between the flange and the stud. Alright, there's my two axles ready to go. I'm going to run to the parts store and get some brake parts cleaner and some synthetic rear end oil with the Posi-Traction additive, and when I come back I'll put it all together. Okay, so the stock wheel and tire that I was running, and I ran these at the drags the last time, are about 42 pounds a piece. Let's see what the slicks weigh, just for curiosity. So 39 pounds, so not a significant difference, but hopefully what it'll make up for it in traction will get that 60-foot time down. So man, just gotta wait to get through this pandemic so the tracks can open. Okay folks, so the last time I had the video camera running was almost 2 weeks ago now. Life has just become super crazy and a lot of events getting in the way. The last thing I was up to was putting the NHRA approved studs in my axles, and the cool thing is the truck's all back together. You've probably seen 100 videos on, you know, putting axles in and filling the rear end up with differential fluid, and that's all done. My axles are in. The cool thing is my little center caps still fit on the wheels, and you can see that my studs extend all the way out. So that gets us in good shape for putting the slicks on and going on the track. My slicks are up there ready and waiting. However, the bad news is it's late October, and every event that I would normally participate in this time of year is canceled due to the pandemic situation, much to my dismay. I postponed all of my participation and planning on all of the events for this summer because either they were postponed or canceled, and eventually things like Drag Week and Hot Rod Power Tour got canceled. So, and then most of the venues in New England shortened their schedule up dramatically due to the restrictions in attendance and everything else. So all of the competition aspects of this truck is going to have to wait till 2021. God, I pray that we're all able to you know, discard the masks and live life like we did prior to March of 2020. Man, I just want to be past all of this. Well folks, between my Craigslist mission, I got the back tires 26 by 10 by 15s on 15 by 8, and the front is Hoosier 25s, 15s, and those are 3.5 inch wide. So truck looks pretty racy. It almost looks like Billy the Kid from Street Racing Channel. Too bad it wasn't as fast. Pretty impressed. I couldn't wait to get these things on here and see what they look like. By the way folks, I have some more sets of the spindle adapters to put the Crown Victoria and Ford Explorer brake assemblies on. And if you do that, there's no spacers required. It's missing the caliper with the offset of this particular wheel. So just some piece of information there in case you're wondering. So in case you're wondering, what does it look like as far as sticking out of the fender? It's just about flush. The bead of the tire, the bulge of the tire, is just about flush with the upper fender, with the Crown Victoria hubs on there. Alright, you can see that the front skinnies I picked up weigh roughly 24 pounds. So that was a significant weight reduction, almost a total of 20 pounds per side in the front. So we're looking at, call it 40 pounds, an additional 5 pounds in the rear, so another 45 pounds in weight reduction, not to mention the rotating mass of these things. So I'm really disappointed that the the season's over as far as being able to compete with this thing, but certainly having the truck capable of putting the race rims and tires on in terms of the studs and lug nuts and such, and actually having these in ready and waiting to go. Hopefully, the season will be open on time and the schedules will be up to full swing when race season reopens. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Look forward to more updates on the progress and modifications to the Mazda coming up pretty soon. We're going to start tearing into the 6-liter. Step 1, stripping it all down and then opening it up internally, seeing what kind of shape it's in, and then we'll start working towards the performance modifications for that motor. So look forward to that in the next couple of months, and hopefully next year we'll be loaded for bear for the drag racing season.